So hold me close, hold me close. I'm all alone, I'm in the cold.
The origins for this film, Three Steps, started 10 years ago when I started volunteering at Leonard Stocks Homeless Centre. We started a series of workshops which were so successful that we then got funding to move it into Endeavour House. Every week for the last 10 years we've run a drama workshop. In 2016 we produced our very first musical, Under One Roof, the big homeless musical, and we wrote this sketch called Who Do You Think You Are, which was essentially the story of 5 people who had been through our doors. It was so gritty and so impacting that actually it's the only sketch that we've used in both Under One Roof 2 and Under One Roof 3. So it's a real pleasure to be able to make this into an adapted film, because actually one of the stories was of one of the people who came to the very first workshop that we ever did at Leonard Stocks. And although we changed the names and although we've changed some of the circumstances, it's really good because it does help people to realise that actually we are all just 3 steps from homelessness, and actually people need to be more kind and compassionate to those people who've lost everything.
We all judge people by what we see. They say you never get a second chance at a first impression. Also, it's often said, never judge a book by its cover, yet sadly, everybody does it. When you see that person lying in the doorway, do you think they're a bad person? A loser? Why? We actually should never judge a book by its cover or a person, because we are all under one roof, just 3 steps away from homelessness ourselves.
Police should move them on.
Council should be doing something about it! Bloody scroungers! We don't want them here! Who do they think they are? Who do they think they are?
Standing there with a knife in my hand, I wanted to kill him. How could I tell anyone what was really going on? He threatened to hurt my children. I suppose in the end, he just pushed me too far. 6 years. 6 years of being beaten and raped.
I was pimped by my dad. So from the age of 5, I was put into care. Don't think I've ever been a child, really. Well, not since I was abused from the age of 7. Does funny things to you. Messes with your head.
I just couldn't come to terms with the redundancy. My age and my lack of qualifications. How was I going to get another job? A job at the council, oh, I hated it. When the time came, the cuts and the like, and they got rid of me. Just crushed any sense of who I was anymore.
For this country, yet I've been spat on, been urinated on. People tell me to get off my backside and get a job. How could they know? I wish they did. Helmand Province, July 2004. Watching my mates being blown up by an Iraqi IED. Night after night, hearing the screams, not being able to erase them pictures out of your head. Night after night, not being able to sleep, not being able to function properly. Just a heavy feeling of darkness and guilt. A constant heaviness never goes away. Depression, that'll never go, ever.
The film was shot all over Torbay, but we were very pleased that we could use the back of our own cinema, which we'd used in our previous film.
Action, Mark.
Get a job, bastard.
Do you know, I passed 10 of those homeless bastards sat in the doorway of shops on the way home. I tell you, the top of town's beginning to look like a no-go area. Bloody alkies and smackheads. It's a disgrace. There are two tents pitched around the back of the church.
Well, I feel sorry for them.
Sorry for them? They need to get off their arse and get a job like...
Do it towards him, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on, I can put this one in minute, because that's there, isn't it? And I picked that up last. So that would be it.
What line do you want first? Where are you going?
So you've got to walk from up there.
Oh, start there, yeah?
Yeah, start there.
Yeah. I've got my coat on and just walk with my scarf.
Okay, Harry, you
To the
good?
side.
Yep. Camera's rolling.
Sound rolling.
And
Yes, Martin.
action.
Where are you going?
Out.
What about me tea?
I told you, it's burnt. You'll have to sort yourself out.
Cut.
Watch, and you're late again for another meeting, so that it's all mounting up to the fact that they're not happy with your performance. All right, so you know the thing that tips it over the edge is you being, you know, outspoken in the meeting. Hi, Jonathan. I think we're ready to go through now. Okay.
Is that the only line?
It's the only line. It's literally the opening line. It's the setup line to that meeting. Caroline appears at the office door. Okay, Jonathan, we're ready to go through. Last year we were very pleased to buy our own theatre, which is where we base all our work from, but it was great to go back to Endeavour House, where we ran Unleashed Community Drama for the best part of 8 years. This was our home where we started the choir, where we started the drama group, and so it was lovely to go back and film actually in that room. You know that there's social housing. You could lean back and do something like that. You're reminding him how he's let Centre's full and that there's no social housing. And you all know it, yes.
Thursday, do you remember the reaction?
Yes.
When Jonathan is using this language and being really out of order.
Yeah.
Remember?
It's on you, but from behind, what I'm saying is from behind we see a reaction. But obviously I want to feature Richard because obviously this is your big moment. Alright? Okay, fab.
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
I had to play you on Thursday, so great.
Yeah. The power of the lanyard. The power of the lanyard. Mark, we have you sat here.
Extreme.
Well, thanks, John.
Oh! He just seen me and like he pointed me out and knew that I was going to
Full action, Mark. Yeah. Over you go to the bin. Action. Nice. Cut. Done.
Okay, so Mark, you walked in our doors 7.5 years ago, and you've been an absolute stalwart and pillar in our community. So much so that you're on the team now. But obviously, you ended up getting this part, which was of a really sort of like a middle class, respectable person who goes on quite a journey. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about that and how you felt about the part?
Well, I love the part because I relied on a lot of my own past life experience to play the part of Jonathan. Until about 7.5 years ago, as I say, I came to Unleashed. Prior to that, I had a very, very serious alcohol issue. At one point in my life, I had everything Jonathan had. I had the home, the wife, the job, the cars, the holidays. And alcohol took everything away from me. 7.5 years ago, when I went into rehab, I pretty much had the clothes I stood up in and a few coins in my pocket. The only thing that I can't identify with is homelessness, because I've never actually been homeless. I've been a quarter of an hour away from being homeless, but on that particular day the housing people managed to find me temporary accommodation. If they hadn't have done that by the time their offices shut on that particular day, yes, I would have been homeless. So, as I say, I used a lot of my life's past experience to portray Jonathan. And each particular scene, whether it was the domestic scene in the kitchen or whether it was one of the other scenes, I just took my mind back to where I was at that point in time when that was actually happening to me. And I tried to portray Jonathan in the way of my own life's experience, if you will.
And it does go on quite a terrible journey, doesn't he? He ends up homeless himself, which in the original theatrical piece that we didn't happen. This was something new that we added for this thing. What do you think? What's your hope for this film, Mark? I mean, obviously, because you're very much a part of our community, which is made up of a lot of ex-homeless people, a lot of people on a 12-step program, a lot of people still struggling with addiction, and for What do you hope we can achieve from this film?
I hope this film reaches people who are genuinely struggling and totally devoid of hope. I hope the film will give people in that situation some vestige of hope and maybe be the catalyst or the first step in helping them to turn themselves around. Because especially alcohol abuse is a very, very serious business, and it can be terminal. People die because of alcohol abuse. So if we can actually reach somebody or a number of people who are struggling and help them to turn their lives around and find a different path, then potentially we've started to save lives as well, which I think would be a wonderful thing.
Yeah. Well, Mark, thank you ever so much. I mean, your performance is amazing, as always.
Thank you.
You're an incredible actor, but just an incredible guy to have around. You're a real inspiration to a lot of people in our community. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Martin. Thank you.
What are they going to do about it? This has come up at least 3 times in this meeting this year, and still level 3 is a no-go area to the general public. Kiddies having to step over bloody comatose smackheads shooting up in the stairwell of a public car park.
Jonathan, I'm not too sure I like your attitude, and I shouldn't have to keep reminding you that these meetings are in fact being minuted.
I don't sodding care. I passed 10 of these bastards on the way to work this morning, and what's happening about it? Sod all. The police move them on, they come back the next night. They should be in the bloody homeless centre.
The homeless centre is full and has been for the last 3 months.
Brilliant. And why's that?
Jonathan, you know perfectly well why. We've discussed this many, many times in the forum.
Well, it's not sodding good enough. Oh, yeah? What have they said?
They've said you're bullyish and quite misogynistic at times, and to tell you the truth, they're quite uncomfortable in your company.
Oh, that's rubbish. I bet it's that bloody Esther in finance, the cow.
No, Jonathan. They're all women in your department.
Who and what have they said?
We've had 3 official complaints just this week. Now, I, as your line manager, need to tell you that I believe these complaints because in meetings you've just become so unprofessional.
It's frustration, that's all.
Frustration? Well, Jonathan, I'm going to have to see a change in your attitude.
We filmed in Afghanistan, which was in fact actually Bantham Beach, but it really doubled up well. We tried Dawlish Warren and we thought about Slapton, but in the end we ended up with filming the whole Afghanistan scene at Bantham Beach. Coming up over the top of the hill. Where shall I stop? Don't look at us. All right, you're in the middle of nowhere and you're in danger. Here we go. Action! Scott, are you comfortable?
Yeah.
Are you sure you're not too...
Fine. Cool. Just making sure you're aware that you're there for a bit. All right.
So mate, you just need to sort of
want a continuous. Do you want me to?
One of the shocking facts was that one of the characters was urinated on, and we did this on stage, and we certainly wanted to put it into the film. So it is actually one of the more shocking shots that we did do, but actually be fun to film it.
Okay, quiet on set, please.
take my thumb off it.
Yeah.
As if I'm.
So yeah, Martin, don't
tell
move
me
your
when to
hidden.
stop.
I will. Martin, don't. Turn around. Wait. Stop.
Is that good? I'm holding my thumb as if it was that, so it looks.
Stop.
Action.
Elmwood Province, 2004.
So I would hold it, even sort of hold it slightly, sort of. Yeah, not too effective, but you know. Yeah. It's like yeah. Action. Okay, David, it's great having you here. And David, you've only been with Unleashed for the last year, but oh my goodness, what an amazing actor you've turned out to be. And you ended up with one of the lead parts as our military vet, which is quite a sad story. Do you want to tell us a little bit about, you know, how you found playing that part?
Well, first, I felt it was a big privilege to be given the role. So, as I say, you said I was only being here a year. It's the whole subject of looking at homelessness, you know, and really making you just take a step back and realising that everybody's got their own story, and they weren't born homeless. No. They came to be homeless. We forget, like my character, served for his country. Do you know, as in one hand, one day he's seen as a hero, the next day he can be looked down upon, called names in the street. My character's even been spit on and urinated on. It doesn't feel like very much of a hero then.
It's quite a raw part, wasn't it? I mean, and to be fair, even just acting that sort of thing where you're getting peed on. I mean, how did that make you feel in terms of actually playing the part? Because your part is very different to who you are, isn't it?
Yeah. I did feel a little bit of a fraud because I haven't actually been in the army, but I have many friends that have, so I try to draw a little bit from that.
But Dave, the incredible thing is, I mean, you really haven't done a lot of acting, have you?
No, just like a lot of kids acting in school, and that was about it, where it was just a bit of fun and games. This can be a lot of fun and games at times, but this film was quite a serious
yeah. And then you played Bob Cratchit in our Christmas pantomime, pretty much, wasn't it? Which was like a comedy. Yeah. But you just proved yourself to be such a good comic actor that we thought, actually, when we did the readings, I mean, you were incredible in that part. Do you feel you've learnt quite a bit in this last year about performing arts through Unleashed?
Oh gosh, not half. Do you know, I do literally feel like I'm a different person from the person that walked in through these doors a year ago. Spending a lot of time by myself. Not really mixing with people. I feel my life has turned around a lot. Feel so much busier these days.
Because you're engaged in the choir as well?
Do the choir as well, yes. It's a lot going on, basically, compared to what I was used to.
Yeah. Well, it's great having you, David, and you're such an amazing actor. I mean, you know, your performance, I think, is going to blow people away. It's so good.
Thank you. Seeing your mates blown up in front of you. Your mates. Waking up screaming. Not being able to get the pictures out of my mind. Night after night not being able to sleep. Not being able to function properly. Just feeling a terrible weight of guilt and darkness. Constant darkness. Just never goes away. Depression that never goes away.
You ready?
And Action.
Paul, what's wrong?
I can't tell you.
What do you mean you can't tell me?
You wouldn't believe me.
What is it? What wouldn't I believe?
It's Steve. He.
Okay, what is it now?
Okay, so we've got Scott here. It's great to have Scott here. Now, Scott, you've, like Dave, only been with us probably just over a year, but I mean, what an actor you've turned out to be. Talk about Mr. Versatile. I mean, you do comedy and really serious stuff, and you're such a great actor. But obviously, we gave you the part of Paul, which is actually a really tough role to play. Do you want to explain a bit about why that was such a hard part to play?
For me, it's not something like I've experienced, luckily, but just imagine someone in those shoes. But something that I did relate to is when you speak about something and people don't believe you, and you know it in your heart to be true, it happened, and people just look at you like you're crazy. And I think for someone to go through that experience, and you know what I mean, and people don't believe them, that must be so traumatizing and stuff like that. And it was just...
And your character, of course, doesn't make it to the end of the film, which is really tragic. And your character is very much based on, you know, as all the characters are, someone who's been through unleashed stores. So it was a particularly heartbreaking storyline to film. How did you feel about that? Because there were some really tough scenes in it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, being through a tough experience myself, but there was, although my character was bad, it was quite good that there's other characters that have changed, like Emma's character, and they turn their lives around. So it was...
Yeah, it's quite realistic,
You know what I
isn't
mean?
it?
No matter what bad situation you're in, there is help there, and you may be able to get out of it and stuff like that.
So in terms of like the film itself, it's trying to get across the fact that actually, when you see particularly drug addicts, that they themselves need to have more compassion shown towards them. Is that something you could relate to in terms of bringing that to the character?
Yeah, like I said, not the exact same experiences, but I have been in a dark place and have been in stuff like that. So it's just, yeah, I think it's like some people say, like, I'm too deep, but for me, I think that's where most of people's problems are. It does run deep, and I think you do have to get to the root of the problem to be able to help overcome some of these issues. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So this is the first film you've ever been in.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was your favourite part about it? Because you actually got to play one of the soldiers as well, didn't you?
Yeah, that was fun. I did enjoy that in Badminton.
Having your leg blown off.
Yes, so that was that was fun. That was quite fun, and it was interesting realising how much work goes into a film as well. Stuff I didn't know that, and I think the first scene I was sort of really nervous about, but then second scene, you know, I mean, I got into it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you did really well, Scott. You were amazing. It's a fantastic performance. So well done. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
My mum was a sex worker, pimped by my dad. So from the age of 5, I was in and out of different foster homes. I don't think I've ever been a child, really. When I was 10, I went to my last foster home before I ran away. It's difficult to talk about why I had to run away.
Paul, what's wrong?
I can't tell you.
What can't you tell me?
You wouldn't believe me.
What is it I wouldn't believe?
It's Steve.
Okay, what is it now?
We shot the domestic abuse scene at the kitchen in Leonard Stocks, which was really quite amusing because obviously it was quite a raw scene. And that morning was the morning that the council, who have taken over the homeless centre now, decided to come and do a tour with government officials and certain councillors. So that was really quite amusing.
Action!
No, Gary, I'm not doing it. Melissa's in the other room.
No! You don't say no to me! You do as I fucking tell you!
Gary, no!
Was it the little bit there? What? To be darker? Yeah, just underneath.
It will end with Martin Cox, proclaiming what she's got. You're going to prison for 2 years!
The most ambitious and expensive scene we shot was at the Law Courts. Big ensemble scene, which at the end of the day we literally used only a few seconds of.
Susie. Hi Susie, I'm Johnny. Nice to meet you. So I'm going to break this down into shots one at a time.
We've got two burly men here, and you've sent Josie over there. Yeah, but...
I was throwing a wobbly.
Not enough coffee.
Not enough coffee. Too cold.
No, it feels...
Okay, so I'm here with Emma Gregory, who plays our lead character, Teresa. And obviously, Emma, you did a fantastic job, but you were originally cast as the foster mum, who you were going to sort of slightly have to age up for that part. But at the 11th hour, because obviously we had quite a few cast changes, you became the lead part and you did an amazing job.
Thank you.
What was that like for you? Obviously you were in The Rich and the Pure, but what was it like at the 11th hour having to step into the main part?
That was quite daunting when I first looked at the script. It seemed quite intense, and there was a lot more to learn than what I'd already previously learned for the other part. But to have that opportunity was absolutely amazing. To really kind of put my skills out there, like to really challenge my acting skills, and it really was a challenge.
Yeah, and it was a very raw part. That your character particularly goes through quite a grim journey. But obviously that's intentional because obviously we want to show the audience how tough it is for people who end up becoming homeless. How did you cope with that in terms of your own experience? Because you brought a lot of own personal experience to the role, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I have some elements in that story that I resonated really strongly with, and that did bring up quite a lot of emotion in those scenes. But all these things are the things that I personally have dealt with myself, so I was able to draw on those emotions without allowing them to affect me.
And obviously the whole film is about trying to change people's perceptions of what a homeless person looks like, and sadly every single character, a lot of that is to do with stuff that's gone in the past that's happened to them. Do you think that in terms of your part, we were successful in achieving that?
Oh, very much so, yes. I spent the majority of the film looking as rough as I possibly could. It's not actually my natural default, although we did joke about that quite a lot. I did feel actually very comfortable in those clothes because I spent so long in them. But the meaning behind it is a much more of a serious issue than, we joke about it. But when you're walking down through the streets and you see these homeless people who are dressed as we were in the film, it really hits home the plight that they have.
And do you think people will be shocked by this film?
Yes, without a shadow of a doubt. I think people are going to suddenly realise that, the people that they walk past and are calling junkies and bums and drunks and all these derogatory names, actually all those people, I'm going to say all, they all have a story. And we only highlight 4 of them. Now 3 of them start off homeless and their story goes on. And in the fourth one, the gentleman has a job and ends up homeless himself. And it really does highlight that we are all just 3 steps away from homelessness ourselves.
Emma, thank you very much.
Thank you. Knife in my hand. I wanted to kill him. How could I tell anyone what had been going on? He threatened to hurt my little girl. I suppose he just pushed me too far. Yeah, Melissa's in the next room.
No! What do you mean, no? You do as I fucking tell you! No!
Turn to the drink. Numbs the pain.
Is that your kid?
Yes, my daughter. I just hope she's having a good Christmas, wherever she is.
Oh, she will be. Hey, I got you something.
Oh, Aunt, thank you. That's so sweet.
Mum used to get us these every Christmas.
We had some fantastic music written especially for the film. Joe Harris we've worked a lot with. He wrote all the music for A Man for All Seasons, and then of course he wrote a fantastic score for The Rich and the Pure, which we won an award for. His music he's written for this I think is absolutely incredible. I wrote the words in the original script, but he took it and added a refrain and orchestrated and brought all the musicians together, and then down at Momentum Studios had the whole thing recorded and mixed together, and I think the end product is just, well, it just lifts the whole production to another level.
Here, 1, 2. All together now.
It's got an accent on the end.
I've accented it just so if we can go, we can sort of build up to that stop. Do you know what I mean? It's got to be like that basically.
You make us sad, and now you're sitting here alone. So hold me close,
close, because then we could get the E in there. Yeah, it needs to feel like, you know, and you long to see the end. It's almost got to sound like you can hear, like, do you know what I mean?
I mean the word. Like,
yeah, but also it was like someone's in your ears, so it's got to be that close, you know. And you long to see the end. Almost like you're speaking it.
It doesn't matter what you do, you numb the pain with anything to make it through.